Alright, so guys, today in the 80 series, I'm replacing this part right here. So there's your engine oil. It's right next to it. It's going to be your ignition coil. So just for video purposes, I kind of already did some things. So I took out the battery and the battery case. So battery is right there. Battery case is over there. I'm cleaning it. So that's why there's this open area now, right? So that way I have a lot more room to kind of get in here, through here to get to this. So as you can see, there is two prongs. All it's going to be is one electric connection and another right here. You just pull them right out. And I do have a couple tips at the end of this video how to make this really easy, because two big things that people have trouble with is one, this electric clip. They either snap them or they just take so long to get them off. And the screws, a lot of people strip out the screws. So the other thing you have to use to get out this is there's 4 screws, one up here, one down there, one up here, one down there. I've already taken 3 of those out, and that's them right there, 1, 2, 3. I have one more to take out. I'm hoping that I can find a good angle for you guys to be able to see that. And then here is the brand new one. And one reason I'm replacing this is because of the start on the 80. It's a little rough, and honestly, I'm just in that position right now where I'm trying to baseline it. So I'm trying to replace as many parts as I can that are fairly simple plug and play parts, and this is one of them that is kind of known to have issues sometimes. I mean, this is a 97, so we're talking about, you know, a 24-year-old car at this point. Okay, so let's see if I can find a good angle to put you. There we go. That one looks good, but let's see how stable I can get it. Okay, that'll have to do. That's just a little bit. Sorry about this video. It's kind of hard to find a good spot because this thing is so tight. But that's the part right there. You can see my screwdriver's already in there. Again, there's 2 screw holes right here. You can see that top one right there, and there's one more down there. Now what I like to do is I unscrew them just enough to where I can hand loosen it. And that's just me personally. And this is hard because this is really tight position. I think that might be enough. Yep. So that's enough. Bam. So obviously you can see the bracket there. So closer photo, right? So those are the 4 screw holes. Right, and they just line up with the 4 on that bracket. And you can see, right, I mean, we're talking about pretty old screws here In a perfect world, honestly, what I would do now is I would go to like Home Depot, Lowe's, somewhere like that hardware store, take one of these screws in there with me and length it and size it and go get 4 new ones. That is what I would like to do in a perfect world. Unfortunately, I don't feel like doing that today. I would say this is the hardest one to get out. For me it was, because it was on that bottom left, so it's the tightest. And you can see just barely where it's starting to bend a little bit. But I'm not going to crank it tight on there, so I think it'll be okay. And then you can see how much like rust is in there, right? Because again, talking about a really old part. Now this is a Toyota Direct. That's why it says Toyota Japan on it. And this is an aftermarket one. All right, so you can kind of see the differences. Let me put them all the same. So that one says Toyota straight from Japan. This one doesn't. But as you can see, plug and play, right? Fairly easy. Now, one big thing I didn't show is I use PB Blaster, and I'm actually a fanatic for using now this one. It comes with a little tiny hose on it, and then you could also flip it down, and it comes with, let's see if I can get that, a big spray. So I really like this because that little hose, you can use that on little crevices like this, and it works perfect, so you're not spraying it all over the engine or all over those parts. Now what I like to do is a couple days before I do a removal is I spray it. So like 3 days ago, I sprayed all 4 of those screws. And I didn't try to move them or anything. I just sprayed the front and I tried spraying the back as best I could. And what I like to do is I let that sit in there so that way it starts to work its way into these bolts, right? And I do that for every part that I install, especially on the 80 series. I do that on my truck as well, but the older the car, the more likely I think you should do that. All right, so now let's do the opposite. And what I'm going to do is that screw is now I'm going to put that on the top right, so it's the easiest one to get back out. And all I'm doing now is hand tightening that one. And I'm just going to do that one at a time. At the same time, I'm holding this up so that way it doesn't apply a lot of pressure. And then what I like to do is, so I do the top right, and then I do that bottom left in a crisscross, right? Another thing that I do sometimes on these is I will spray a little extra PB Blast now that I have the screw out, actually on the screw itself, just to make it a little bit more pliable and easier on the next time to get back in and out. Right, so the PV Blast, not only does it make it easier to get the bolts off, supposedly it kind of helps with rust and what have you. There we go. But, you know, I figure just a little extra lubrication on metal parts like this going in isn't a bad idea. I know back in the day I used to see people would even do like Vaseline and greases like that. I'm not a big fan on that because it attracts a lot of dirt. So I'm going to spray a little bit more on this left one actually. Now that I have it out right now, might as well. Oh yeah. And that just went in so much easier. Yeah, that's way better. You can really tell the difference because at first with hand turning these, it was actually pretty tight and hard to do. And you know, I like to go back and forth a little bit, so I'll hand tighten it and then I'll pull it back out with my hand as well. Oh yeah, that's way better. The bottom two definitely are the hardest though. One, I guess just the angles, and then two, I'm not sure if it's just the gravity maybe, you know, when it rains and dust gets in here, it settles down. So these have had the most dust and stuff to get in them. Oh yeah, I'm happy with that now. Yeah, so like I said, what I like to do too with something like these that are older is hand tighten them and then I hand loosen them a couple times just to work all that grease through, just to make the threads inside those holes and the threads on the screws completely lubricated. And I will say, love these type of screwdrivers, right? The ones that are kind of like a socket wrench, right? Way better than a regular screwdriver because it takes so much less pressure and space to work them. So now I'm just going to tighten. That one's good. I'll go up to this top one. And like I said, I'm not over tightening these because they don't really need to be that freaking tight. Especially if you work on your cars and you check them every now and then, like I do, you're going to know if it gets loose. Like 2 clicks and it's good. Because if you tighten it too much, guess what's going to happen? You're going to strip that hole out again. So that's good. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That sucker's going nowhere. So now the last thing is putting those 2 clips back on. Right? So also what I did is I moved those clips out of the way. So let me show you where I put both of those clips at. So here is going to be the bigger one. Boom. Right here. That goes in the top there. So all I did is I stuffed it right here behind, oh, you can't even see it. But I stuffed it right here behind the oil just so it was out of the way when I was screwing off those. And I want to put on the back one actually first because just the angle and I think it'd be a little easier. So the back one is actually all the way up here. So the back one, I stuffed it over here. You can't see it, but if I turn the camera, you could. So it's right here. I just stuffed it right here behind the hose, radiator hose, because it's long enough. So this is what this one looks like. And all it is, oh, let me show you. So this is what this one looks like. Boom. You can see the inside, maybe not. So hopefully you can see that though. All you do to get it off is it's a little push. Now be careful because these are old, right? We're talking about a 24-year-old car. So you want to push it gently. If it gives you issues with pushing it, what you can use again is PB Blaster on that sucker and loosen it up, right? And just kind of push it as hard as you can on your thumb a couple times and give it some time, you know? This might be a thing where you do that a couple days before and then it works. So see, I pull it up and that's on there, good. So first one back on, and you can see how long that sucker is, right? So it goes all the way from here to your battery connectors. Now for this one. So this one is going from your distributor cap, and it goes under the steering fluid, and it's right here. So it has that little knob on it, and the same thing with this one. So this one's a push, and there's that push button right there. Boom. So that push button should face you. Remember that. If you face it this way, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder to get off. And I hope yours is faced this way. So that way it's easier because it's facing you. So boom, here. And it's back on. So now, let me show you the secret on getting that off. Now let's see if it works without me having to do anything. So I push. Oh yeah, see how hard that is? That sucker's stuck. So what I took is one of these plastic, and I got these at Harbor Freight, and these are awesome. So these are actually for body pieces, the little plastic clips. You would put the plastic clip there and pull, and it won't break them. But I also use them for things like this. Now all I did is I stuck it under the edge, underneath, and I applied a little pressure. Boom. And you see that? It came right up. See? So all I did is, again, put one of these little anglers under there and then just pull it towards you. So it slightly pulls on that plastic and it will pull it right out. Again, this is my go-to, right? This one, or I have a couple other smaller ones. I picked this one because of the angle. That is the perfect angle to get under there. So I would just get it under that little tab like that, and I pull it towards me and I'll pull it right up. But slow, gentle pressure so you don't break anything, right? Because you don't want to break anything at all. All right, so that is it. My secret tool is this, to getting those clips off. If you have any questions, if you have any advice for me, maybe you found a better way to do this job, comment below. My last little thing I will say is, once you have stuff like this off, clean it out. So what I'm going to do next is clean in here and scrub. But hopefully you liked today's video. Hopefully that helps you get that piece in there. And have a good one. Boom.